Welcome back, guys. Today I am in the beautiful city of Mexico City. There's a lot of digital nomads and expats here. Wanted to share with you guys today a little bit about what the city's like for someone who lives here. And rather than me tell you my experiences of 3 weeks, I have a mate here. Nick, how long you been here, mate?
Off and on for 2 years, but full-time about a year.
First of all, can you just introduce yourself?
My name's Nick Lagios. I'm originally from Portland, Maine. Went to college in Colorado. Moved to the Bay Area. I was there almost 2 years. And then I was in Australia for a year. LA for 5 years, and now I've been here again off and on for about 2 years. Traveling around the world is kind of like my biggest passion, but I also work in basketball as well, and I'm the general manager of the NBA G League team here in Mexico City called the Capitanes.
I have 12 actually categories of things here, all the way from cost of living to dating and safety and a lot more things too. We're going to get Nick's opinion on those topics, and I'm going to give some commentary as well about how it compares to where I live in Medellin in Colombia. With that said, you ready? Let's get straight into it. All right. First thing on the list is cost of living. So you live in this apartment right now.
Yep.
It's what, 2 bedrooms?
2 bedrooms, 2 bath. I pay about, the dollar keeps, I mean, I guess the peso is getting stronger, so it's about $1,200 a month at this point. When I first moved in, it was about $1,000 a month, but now it's about $1,200.
$1,200. And this area you live in, you said it's called Roma Norte?
Yeah, so Roma Norte is like the famous area. That's like a 5-minute walk from where we are here. I'm more like Roma, between Roma Norte and Roma Sur, so kind of right in the middle of the two.
Okay,
yeah.
So let's compare this, right? I don't know if you have it in Mexico here, but in Colombia we have estratos, which, you know what they are?
No.
Estratos, like middle class, low class,
Okay.
high class, upper class.
Yeah.
It goes all the way from 1, which is the lowest class, to 6 is the most highest class.
Yeah.
And 6 obviously is where the richest areas are.
Yeah.
So what would you classify this, you think? 1 to 6?
Well, I'd say probably closer to 4 or 5. I mean, I work in Polanco most days, and we just went through Santa Fe. I mean, I don't know how much houses cost out there, but I would imagine that's closer to a 6, and this is closer to a 4 or 5.
Okay, so this is upper middle class, you'd say?
I'd say so,
okay,
yeah.
so upper middle class here, and
Yeah.
that's about $1,200 US.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly. For 2 bedrooms.
2 bedrooms. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. I would say in Medellin, for something like that, you could probably get 1,000.
Yep.
1,800 to 1,000 depending. Did you just rent this on Airbnb?
No, so it's a lot more expensive to do through an Airbnb. I got a 1-year lease with this.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
That affects things definitely, because if Airbnb, I was talking about 1,000, but
Yeah.
if you do it through 1-year lease,
Yeah.
did you get your furniture or it came with the furnished stuff?
I bought most of it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so unfurnished and a year, yeah, you can probably get, man, maybe like $500
Wow.
a month in a class 4 or 5 neighborhood, and
Yep.
yeah, so it's about half the price.
Yep. Wow.
Okay, I already knew that was going to be the answer, because I know that from living here just 3 weeks, I know the accommodation is expensive. But let's talk food and stuff like that, all right?
Yeah.
So if you come here and you go in this suburb, let's say middle class suburb, you go out for dinner, right?
Yeah.
Just for yourself, how much would you pay for just one, like a meal?
I would say, let's say lunch would be about $7 to $10. Let's say you get like enchiladas or something like that.
Okay.
And then a dinner, I would say would be about $15 to $20 for a plate.
Oof.
A drink would be, this is like a sit-down restaurant.
Sit-down restaurant, yeah, but like middle, not like luxurious, right?
Yeah, I would still say about $15 at this point, because
Okay.
the dollar keeps getting weaker, but
Okay.
about $15.
So we're talking lunch, 7, dinner doubles to about 15, right?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Coffee?
Coffee is about $3.
About $3. Okay, so coffee's about the same in Colombia. You might get it for $2 for something like this, like a latte. But I would think the food is definitely cheaper, man. Like even in Poblado, the most like level 6 rich area, you can find places which are like maybe $5 for lunch.
Wow.
And maybe $10 for dinner.
I have noticed though in my I haven't even been here that long, but off and on 2 years, it's gotten quite a bit more expensive in those 2 years. And the dollar's gotten weaker in those 2 years too. So you add that up, it's got a lot more expensive.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about transportation? How do you get around here?
So this city's actually much more walkable than I thought it was going to be.
Okay.
I'm in like Roma, the Roma area. Condesa is like a 10-minute walk. And then I really walk. Like I take an Uber to work. I'll take the metro sometimes. But yeah, I mean, the traffic's pretty brutal taking Ubers, to be honest. But outside of that, I'm just walking everywhere, which is really nice. Yeah.
And Uber's pretty cheap?
Yeah, Uber's pretty cheap. Like, let's say
let's call it half an hour ride.
Yeah,
How much is it going to cost?
half-hour ride would be about $7.
$7?
Yeah.
I think it's about the same, guys. In Colombia, Medellin, you're probably paying like maybe $5, $7, around the same. What about groceries?
Yeah, I was just gonna bring that up. I think so at a grocery store, the prices, at least the grocery store I go to around here, is pretty comparable to what it would be in the US. So some good music we got outside by a classic music
Hang on, let's
box.
have a look at that for a
Yeah,
sec.
that's awesome.
I'll just flip this around. What is that?
It's a music box.
Oh, he
guys.
just
I
like
don't-
spins it and then
Yeah, I'm not sure the name. And they dress up as like train conductors and see the other ones asking for money.
Okay.
There was a scandal a couple years ago, I guess, where the spinning of it actually didn't do anything. It was just a recording.
Oh,
thing.
it was just recording?
Yeah.
So he was lip syncing, hand syncing it.
Yeah, so groceries, I think the grocery, if you go to a grocery store around here, it's pretty similar to what the prices would be in the US. But if you do go to a market, like a classic market with fruits and vegetables, much cheaper than it is in the US and very good quality. So I'd pay about, on a typical week, I want to say about $50 a week on groceries.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's not too bad.
It's not terrible.
But yeah, it's more or less like what I used to pay in Australia,
Yeah.
about the same, okay. You mentioned markets. A lot of people who've never been to Latin America, probably thinking about some kombucha cooking market.
Yeah.
Like
Little
in the
different.
States. It's a bit different, right?
A little different. It's not quite like I mean, they do have farmers markets.
It's not like a flea market kind of farmer's market, no.
But basically a big market. They have, I don't eat meat really, like chicken sometimes. They do have lots of meat, lots of seafood, but the produce is really good, really cheap. I remember I couldn't believe it the first couple times I came. You just like fill up a bucket with potatoes, strawberries, everything you want, and it comes down to like $5, just like mind-blowing. So that's cheap for sure.
How much do you think you save by going to a market rather than a supermarket?
I'd say the produce was probably half the price.
Half the price?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you like that, that might be an idea to save some money. Same in Colombia. In Colombia, you know, the supermarket is pretty cheap. For me, yeah, maybe it's about the same, 40, 50 bucks a week.
Yeah.
You're not saving that much money at the supermarket, but the market, yeah, you go to the market, you're getting all the fresh stuff and you're saving. I think in one of my videos, I went shopping with a local, gave him 50 bucks to spend, and he actually said that let's not go to a supermarket, let's go to the local market. He took me there because he said that it was about 30 to 40% cheaper. So hopefully we've covered everything about cost of living, guys. I think Medellin wins,
yep,
right?
yep.
With any of these topics, if you have any more questions, just leave it in the comments and we'll get back to that. Let's go to the second on the list.
All right, let's do it.
This is probably what a lot of people are concerned with when they talk about Mexico, Colombia, Brazil, Latin America in general. Safety. What do you think about safety in Mexico City?
Yeah, so I can only speak on like my experiences, obviously, and like what I've heard and seen. But I have lived across the U.S. I've lived in Australia. I spent a lot of time through Central America, South America, and you know, honestly, I've never really had a scary experience, so to speak, here in Mexico. Like, I know it can happen. It can happen. And I say that, but it can happen in any city too. It could happen in Chicago or Los Angeles, where I've lived for a while. So I've never had, you know, when I first moved here, like, you know, it would get dark out and I'm like, oh man, like I can't imagine people are walking to, you know, the grocery store or something. And maybe I've become a little naive as time has gone on, but at this point, as long as I'm not walking somewhere where I shouldn't be walking, I'm just walking around my neighborhood or in a somewhat good place, I've never really felt too afraid ever in my 2 years here.
You live in a very protected part of the city. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, 100%.
This place is very gentrified, very gringified. This is not the dangerous Mexico that people are thinking of, right?
No, yeah, 100%. This is, very, I mean, I don't know the percentages, but I would imagine 30%. I'm not sure, but around 30% of the people here are from other countries.
Okay.
So that could be anywhere, but yeah, at around that.
So I think if safety is a concern, Mexico City definitely wins in my book, because Medellin is constantly crazy shit going on. Like even in the rich area, I told you, like Poblado, every week there's someone getting robbed, or you know, someone getting drugged and robbed on a date. There's these bikers who come around with guns, and you're hearing some sort of story every week. Whereas, are you hearing that kind of stuff in Mexico, in Mexico City, here in this place of kind of protected area?
With the, you know, the people that I know, I've heard of, you know, people getting pickpocketed, but in terms of people driving around with guns, I haven't really heard of anything like that. Yeah, at least in this area, or at least the people that I talk to, I haven't. I mean, the city is 24 million people, and I think Roma's 80,000.
Okay.
So we're talking about
It's very small,
it's fairly small when we're talking about the grand scheme, yeah.
In Colombia, basically all the people that I know, at least 25% have been drugged and robbed at some point.
Wow.
Have you ever heard that story here?
I saw your video on that. I haven't heard that story.
Okay.
Nothing like the story you
So
were
maybe
talking
that
about.
doesn't exist here. Safety, I think Mexico City,
This
especially
area,
just where,
yep.
where you live, because
Yep.
yeah, Medellin, it can be a concern, especially if you're acting kind of like a fool,
Yep.
getting drunk, wasted. Something's definitely going to happen to you.
Yep.
Whereas here, I feel like not really.
I haven't heard of too much of that
Okay.
stuff happening.
So we're 1-on-1.
Yep, 1-on-1, all right.
Let's go. Next, we have climate and weather.
I'm a weather nerd, so
You're
you
a
gotta
weather
look
nerd?
out.
Okay.
So I think here the weather is great. Like I lived in California, everyone says that, you know, it's the best weather ever, which I agree with because it's not very humid. So for half the year here, it's not humid, it doesn't rain. That's all winter. And then summer comes along, which we're getting pretty close to, and it rains quite a bit. It's not very humid. And then when it does start to get humid in the summer, it actually gets colder in the summer because it rains every single afternoon. Temperatures, I really just know Fahrenheit, but it's never too hot. Like in the wintertime, it's about 70 degrees. And then the summertime's a little more humid and about 75 degrees, but it's raining every day. So
Celsius, I think that's in the low 20s probably.
yeah, exactly, like 21, something like that. Yeah.
If you had to rate the weather from 0 to 10, what would you say here?
I'd say 8.5.
Okay, that's pretty good.
8.5, yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
This might be one where we need the people to decide, man. Because I don't know if you know anything about Medellin, but they call it the city of eternal spring.
Oh, okay.
Because when the weather's on, it's like every day is about 20, 21, as you said,
Yeah.
75, whatever, and not too hot. You can go outside, you can be doing sports, you can maybe go for a run. It rains a little bit here and there, but most of the time it's known for the city as City of Eternal Spring.
Sounds similar to here, really. I mean, it's
Yeah.
never, people think Mexico and think really hot. On the coast, it'll get
It's
brutally
bloody hot.
Yeah,
it's
like hot,
bloody hot as fuck over
Yeah,
there.
but we're 7,500 feet up,
Okay.
so it's much cooler just being at this elevation. Yeah.
Mexico City, I lived on the coast for a long time, and this is completely different.
Yeah.
Like there it was just like every day, steaming hot.
Yeah.
Here it's nice. You can walk around during the nighttime. You even put a jacket on
It
sometimes.
cools off, yeah. Like
Yeah.
it's very similar to California, where during the day you're pretty warm, and then at night you're a little cold, and then the summer is raining every single day. Yeah.
Okay, so I think draw.
Yeah,
I
it's a
think
draw. I'd
both
say
got
it's
pretty
draw.
good weather. They're both almost the same, 75 to 70, 20, 21 degrees Celsius. So yeah, let's draw that, all right?
Okay, yeah, let's
So we're
check.
still at 1-on-1.
Yep.
Next one. I think you got the upper hand on this one.
Let's hear it.
But food.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a foodie,
Yep.
but I've grown to appreciate food, being here more, and like there's all these famous restaurants that everyone always posts about, but even if you just go to like a classic place on, you know, like down the street, it'll be like they give their maximum effort every single time you have it. So the food here is pretty amazing. Like in the US, I feel like a lot of places just give you a plate and it's done, but here is like, this is our pride and joy and we're gonna make it good. So I think Mexico City is one of the best food cities I've been to.
Guys, Medellin, if you go to like Poblado or the more rich and developed areas where there's more tourists, you can find a bit of everything, but it really doesn't match up to Mexico City because Mexico City has had tourism for many, many years, but Colombia was dangerous just 10 years ago. So it's a bit behind in that respect. And also, let's talk just Mexican food versus Colombian food. You guys have heard me talk about this a lot. Colombian food sucks, man.
Really?
Tastes like nothing. It doesn't even
Really?
taste bad. It just has no taste.
Yeah.
They don't use any spices or condiments or nothing.
Yeah.
It's just super bland.
Yeah.
And I've heard a lot of expats actually say that. I love Colombia, but the food sucks. But I've never said anyone say that Mexican food sucks because it's awesome.
If someone said that, it's like, I don't know what you want. I mean, there's tons of good, even if you don't like Mexican food, you can still get really good American food or
They have everything.
European
I
food.
saw
Yeah.
like Japanese food.
Yeah, tons of Japanese
They have
places.
vegan stuff,
Yeah.
vegetarian stuff, everything
Yeah.
is here. Like for any city, especially in Latin America, this is probably going to have the most options of anything.
I think so, and I've been all throughout Latin America, and yeah, I agree with you. Like some cities, I did like 6 weeks through South America, and I lost like 10 or 15 pounds just because I wasn't eating good, and it's just like a lot of meat, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. But here, there's lots of different options, really good produce. So I think Mexico City is one of the best food cities in the world.
So got a bit of everything here.
Yeah.
The local food is delicious, man. Mexican food is very different to Tex-Mex food as well. So look that up. Definitely come here and try it. It tastes very different, right?
Yeah, definitely different. I mean, I do miss burritos like in California all the time.
Yeah.
I had a couple burritos out here, but in the US, that's like the
thing.
typical thing to
but
get.
But they ain't
yeah.
putting no fucking chips and shit in
Right.
the burritos here, man.
some French fries in it?
Yes, no way.
A California burrito, yeah.
And the other thing that I want to say is, we just went for a walk yesterday, and I've never seen so many food trucks and street food stands in my whole life in any city than in Mexico City. Man,
Yeah.
you walk one street and it's like the whole street is just like food trucks and stuff, and everything has some small meal for like $2, right?
Yeah, they definitely have that. I don't really eat those. I have had food poisoning
Oh,
twice. I mean, I had it once in Sayulita,
Okay.
and then I had it once last year. It wasn't from a food truck. Like, I don't really eat things like that because I just like don't want to risk it with my stomach. But
But
I
now
think
you're scarred.
I'm a little scarred, so I'm a little more careful. Again, I never did that in the first place, but I have heard stories of people getting sick from that stuff.
That being said, man, I think this is a clear winner, clear runaway.
Mexico City.
Mexico City with the food, local food, much better, and just options of world cuisine, much better too. It's just that much more advanced. So
Yeah.
I think food. Let's go 2-1. Let's get to natural beauty, because you know sometimes you're not walking around New York City and be like, oh my God, I'm so happy I'm in nature.
Right.
If you want that kind of feel when you just step out your apartment and you're in nature and you're feeling some fresh air and stuff, what do you think about Mexico City?
I think it depends what you like and what you define as natural beauty. Like growing up in Maine, spending a lot of time in Australia, California, I really appreciate like mountains, wide open areas, the beach. Mexico City, you don't get that. You do get beautiful parks, so if those are your jam, like that's awesome. But I really do miss and I spent 4 years in Colorado too, so you just have natural beauty everywhere. I wouldn't say Mexico City for me is one of the top cities in the world for natural beauty.
Okay.
Yeah.
Medellin, where I live, guys, it's a valley, okay? So the city sits in the valley and is completely surrounded by nice green mountains. Everywhere you go, basically, if you get a high-rise apartment in a high-rise building, you have a view of these beautiful green mountains.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
So it is very beautiful. The whole city is kind of like in a jungle too.
Yep.
So it's all very green, a lot of hiking and stuff, especially if you get out to some of the areas like Envigado. It's just all hikes there, all green. It is a city very well known for its natural beauty. So I think Medellin wins that one.
Medellin wins that, yep, 2-2.
2-2. The next one is entertainment and options for things to do.
Yep.
Okay? Because some places you go and you're like, oh, this is cool, but after a week you're like, oh shit, what do I do now? I'm kind of bored.
Yep.
Especially these little beach towns and stuff. I mean,
Yep.
if you're not a surfer or something, like you're super bored very fast.
Yeah.
Mexico City, tell me.
I think I'm not like a total expert in this. I should know more, but I think, obviously I do fun things, but I do think there's
sure.
tons, yeah, I do nothing. No, I do think there's lots to do here. I mean, it's just such a vast city. I think you could spend a week in just this area, Condesa, Roma, go to museums, art galleries, famous restaurants, and then that's just like one little part of the city. So I think like, it has to be up there. I mean, I've gone to concerts here, I've gone to soccer games. I think Mexico City's got to be up there. Formula One's here, so they do have like those worldwide events that do come here.
Yeah.
But I think Mexico City's got to be up there.
Medellin has a lot of stuff too. We have some like music festivals and
Yep.
stuff and options and stuff, entertainment. But that being said, it's just by sheer amount of people, man.
Yeah.
You guys in Mexico City have like 25 million or
Yep.
22 million. In Medellin, like the metropolitan area, I think it's only like 3 or 4 million.
Yep.
So obviously you're going to have a lot more options, a lot more diversity, a lot more things to do.
The amount of like artists here. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not a huge art fan, but still there's tons of art galleries all over the place.
But even museums.
Museums
So
all
many
over,
Museums,
yeah.
and I think it's the city with the most museums in the world.
I believe it.
Maybe not, but someone checked that. But
Yeah,
I think
fact
I
check
read
that.
that, right?
I believe it. I mean,
Yeah.
even just walking down the street, you'll see like a tequila museum. You're
Yeah.
like, okay.
So I think
Yeah.
just by how many people there are here, man, and it's known as a hub of like, you know, art and culture and stuff. It's
Yeah.
gonna be Mexico City again.
Yeah.
Mexico City 3, Medellin 2. So tell me about this, right? A lot of people come here and not just traveling, they want to do business, getting things done, paying a bill, just errands like that, just general ease of life. How does that
Yeah.
go for you here in Mexico City?
I think that stuff's pretty confusing. I mean, I'm not fluent in Spanish yet, so that probably doesn't help, but I do notice a lot of things, like you'll pay a bill when you go out to eat, and I'm coming from a US perspective, but here it's just like a slow process. Like they have to like pull out the payment machine and like, you know, get a signal. So stuff like that. And then paying like the bills for my apartment is so confusing. Like you have to go to an OXXO and like pay it there. You can't just like go online. And I have my cable and internet bill, and it's like the most confusing thing I've ever had to pay. It's like I'm trying to give you guys money, but it's
Yeah.
just like confusing.
You say nothing is efficient here?
Yeah, I would say efficiency compared to what I'm used to.
Yeah.
It's much slower than what I'm used to, and maybe I just don't know how to do a lot of these things, but it's not like in the US. Yeah.
I would say the same thing. I think we're probably going to have to tie here.
Yeah.
Because same with everything in Latin America, they don't really do anything efficiently or logically. They just kind of do things. I don't know how they come up with how they do these things, but they do things in a way that's very frustrating for us who come from very organized countries. Same in Colombia, same in Medellin. I think we're going to have to draw this one.
Yep.
And say, if you want to come here, maybe moving here to take advantage of the lower cost of living and stuff, that is something you're going to have to sacrifice. Just ease of doing things is not going to happen here.
Even just like my internet is pretty good here, but not everywhere. Like I'll go to an Airbnb because of something or another part of Mexico, and like it'll say, oh, great place to work, and then there's just no internet, which is really frustrating. But I think that's kind of a Latin American thing.
I think you just take the good with the bad sometimes. Not everything's perfect, but that's a sacrifice that we make to be here, right?
For sure. I mean, I'll give up Wi-Fi for living here.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we're 7 rounds in. Mexico City and Nick have 3 points. Medellin and AK 2 points, and 2 points we're tied on. All right. So we neck and neck. Let's see how we close out the final 5 rounds. Tell me about language barrier, bro. How much of a problem is here not knowing Spanish?
Not a problem. I'd say it's not that hard to not speak Spanish here.
In Medellin, guys, it's very hard, honestly, to get by without Spanish. Because Colombians, I've noticed, a very low percentage actually know English at all. Whereas Mexicans, a lot of them will speak English. Even if it's not good, they'll definitely speak enough just to be like, tell you where this is or what's small, give you directions or whatever, right? That can be good and that can be bad, because if you want to come here and you want to learn Spanish, you want to immerse yourself, it's not a great place.
I wouldn't suggest it. Yeah, so I mean, it is easier to probably live here not speaking Spanish, but if you do want to learn Spanish, and I think it'd be, I mean, you can live in other areas in Mexico City. I'm really just speaking about, 1% of the city here when I'm talking about Roma, Condesa.
But that's
Polanco.
The place most people are going to come to. You read the blogs and it's like best places to come, and it's all these rich suburbs.
Yeah, it is Condesa, Roma mainly, so that's true.
So yeah, you can take that how you want, but if you just want to come and you're kind of struggling to speak Spanish, it's a good place to get kind of familiar with Latin America, because you're still going to be able to communicate with people, still going to be able to get things done without knowing Spanish. But in Medellin, it's going to be more difficult, guys, and especially if you're the type who likes to travel and meet locals, you're going to have kind of no chance in Medellin, and you're just going to be stuck to hanging out with other expats, which I see a lot of. I see people who've been there like 3 years. They haven't bothered to learn Spanish, so they don't talk to any local, and they just got their group of just expats. Take that how you want. Some people might want that. Some people don't want to hang out with locals, but just for the scoring of this language barrier, I think Mexico City wins too. Falling behind a little bit here, let's talk about dating and relationships. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, so I'd say in Mexico City, like we just talked about, the language barrier, like not really an issue here. So in terms of either meeting friends or if you're dating, it wouldn't be that hard here.
One thing I want to ask you about is relationships, right? Maybe some of your friends or some examples you've seen, are locals willing and open to have relationships with foreigners, or do they more want to stick with other locals? How does that work here?
I've noticed at least people from Mexico City, like local, a lot of them are still friends with their like childhood friends. If you're born and raised in Mexico City, a lot of your friends are from like 15 years ago. So coming in as like a new person, it's a little bit harder. So I would say they stick to their group a lot.
Okay, so it's a bit harder to penetrate the groups here.
I'd say so. Yeah.
This is where I think Medellin wins, because Colombians are very open, man. Like I've spoken about this in other videos. As soon as I got there, I'd meet someone like one time and they'd be like, hey, come do this with us, let's do this. And I think my friend group in Medellin is probably like 60% Colombians, 40% expats, because I just like hanging out with Colombians. I put in the effort to learn the language and speak to them, so they put in the effort to welcome me and invite me to things as well. In terms of just ease, I think dating relationships is easier in Medellin. If you're a good guy, you want to make some friends, you want to date some locals, I think without saying it much more, I think that Medellin's probably got the upper hand. So let's say we got 4.
4.
We got 3 and we got 2 draws.
2 ties.
What's that? 7, 9. We got 3 rounds to go.
All right.
Transportation and getting around. So let's talk about, first of all, how easy is it to get around the city here?
This local area, it's very walkable, very, very easy. coming from Los Angeles where everything was kind of spread out, like I had my little bubble and you just walk everywhere because you don't want to deal with traffic. I think it's a little similar to here too, because like there's lots of cool areas, Coyoacan, Centro, that I love. Just I don't want to like sit in traffic for 30-40 minutes. They do have the metro, but it just gets, I do take it sometimes if the route makes sense, but it still will be absolutely packed. And for me right here, it's still like a 15-minute walk to the metro station. So a lot of times I'm like, I'm better off just Ubering.
The main thing I was wanting to talk about is traffic, man.
It's bad here.
Oh my God.
It's bad. I mean, we just went to the mountains today and yeah, it was about an hour there, 45-50 minutes back. It's also just such a spread out city. So even if the traffic's not bad, it's gonna take a while, but the traffic here it's brutal.
But I feel like it's always bad here. Like in Medellin, obviously traffic is bad after work, maybe on weekends sometimes. But if I'm going, like a lot of the time I'll go from my girlfriend's house to my place. It could be like maybe 5 kilometers and takes like, I don't know, 5-10 minutes.
Yep.
But here, it's a lot of times I've seen that it's 2 kilometers or what's that, 1 mile, and it will take like half an hour.
Yeah,
what's that about?
Drives me crazy. But that's, yeah, I mean, it would happen in Los Angeles too. Our arena, no traffic, will be like 17 minutes. And then, but it would normally take me about an hour.
Oof.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you're living in the city and maybe if you're not just in Condesa and you're walking everywhere, you need to go to other places. You're going to be spending a good percentage of your time in the Uber, right?
Yeah, I'd say that's true. That's accurate for sure. Yep. The metro here is good. Like I think it has one of the highest usership in the world, but it's just in my experience, it's like absolutely crowded and packed. Like I haven't really seen before. So I'd say Medellin probably has
Medellin?
Yeah.
Just for the traffic part and how spread out and how difficult it is, because Medellin's much smaller too.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah, Medellin, yeah.
Cool, Medellin. 4 to Mexico City, 4 to Medellin, and 2 tied. So we have 2 more rounds to go.
Yep. All right, let's do it.
Did you think it was going to be this close?
I don't know much about Medellin. I've heard it's awesome. So yeah, I guess I did, because Mexico City is pretty awesome too, yeah.
Guys, to give you a bit of a background, Mexico City has been a kind of expat home and expat spot for many years. On this side of the world anyway, South America, Central America, whatever, it's probably the most famous expat city, right? Especially for Americans and stuff like that. Medellin is one of the fastest rising and up and coming places, but only in maybe the last 5 years or so. Yeah. So it's kind of like the big heavyweight champ against the underdog.
Yeah, I mean, tons of people will go here and then Medellin. That seems just like then Tulum will fit in there somewhere, but that's just like a normal route for people that I've noticed.
Okay, man, you ready to get to the final 2 rounds of this?
Let's do it.
This heavyweight fight? It's pretty neck and neck. I'm pretty surprised actually. Round 11. Let's talk local people. First of all, are they welcoming to foreigners? And is it easy to make friends with locals? You spoke about this a little bit before, but can you just reiterate, maybe give us some examples?
So just going around this city, people are, people are very friendly here. People are very gracious and welcoming here. I still think it might be harder to meet locals, but I don't think that's necessarily like their problem. It might be more of like, you know, me not being able to speak fluent Spanish yet.
Connect with them?
Yeah, I think like it's not personal at all. It's more just like situational. So I think like locals, Mexicans are very friendly. I think there's, on the internet at least, there's some like resistance against, you know, like expats or people working abroad here. But in terms of like everyday life, I never see something like, you know, telling me to go home or something like that. So in what I've seen every day, like people here are very friendly, very welcoming.
So no one's ever treated you in a negative manner because you're a foreigner?
I don't think so.
Okay,
I mean, again, it could have happened,
but you just didn't understand.
Yeah,
They're like, pinche pendejo, and you're like, hey, gracias.
I'd say this is one of the more friendly cities I've been to.
Okay, so they're more or less friendly, but they're a bit difficult to break into their social circles here.
Yeah, and that's again, I think that's more situational than actual.
I think that's a you thing.
Yeah,
because you don't speak fluent Spanish, and like, man, if you come to Australia and you don't speak English, like, I'm probably not going to be your friend either, because it's going to be so difficult, you know?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. Yeah.
Medellin as well, as I always say, people are very friendly, very accepting. They'll be very fast to invite you to things and all that. I don't know, this is a kind of a tough one. Both cities seem very welcoming. I think we might have to draw this one.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be hard to split those two, so I'd say that's a tie.
Yeah.
So 4-4-3?
Yeah, 4-4-3.
Yep.
So we've got one more, and that is social life. A lot of people might come here, they might come solo travelers. First, you're figuring out, how do I meet people? What do I do? Is there options for that in Mexico City? And how would you personally do that if you're someone coming to the city? Obviously, you had your connections because you came here, you had the basketball team and all that.
Yeah.
But for someone who doesn't know anyone, what tips would you give them? And also, can you just comment on how easy is to meet people here?
Yeah, I'd say it's very easy. I mean, there's lots and lots of either expat groups. There's like a Tuesday night dinner here, I remember. It's for anyone can go, but a lot of expats go. It's like every Tuesday, different restaurant every Tuesday, but there'll be lots of language exchanges too. Like I saw one of your videos where like every day of the week you could go to a different language exchange. I'd say it's easier to meet people here than in most cities I've been to. Sydney was super easy too because lots of people are from somewhere else. They always need to meet people, and I think here is very similar. Either probably easier to meet like other foreigners or expats trying to find friends than locals, but still, like, it's this is a very easy city to meet people, in my opinion. Yeah.
And how would people find these events? Like you said, there's a Tuesday night dinner, there's language exchanges. How do they find these things? If I come straight today from LA to Mexico City, I want to meet some people, where do I look?
So I'd say there's two main things came to mind. There's a Facebook group. There's a couple, like Expats in Mexico City. I think that's the name. And they post, someone will be like, hey, new to the city, like, what do I do? So that's a good step. Also, I stayed at Selena my first...
That's a hostel
workspace area. I stayed at one of those like my first month here, and they have lots of WhatsApp groups. You just meet a couple people, and then you meet a couple more people, and it just kind of snowballs from there. Now I'm in like 10 or 15 WhatsApp groups. They just have different events all the time. To get in those WhatsApp groups, if you don't know anyone or anything, I would suggest going to a Selena, either in whatever city you're moving to, whether it's Mexico City or wherever, and you just start meeting people like just by living here. So I would suggest that.
You meet one person, then you might meet their friends, and it's just snowball effect, right?
I think snowballs, that's exactly right. You just have to get that start. But to get that start, that Facebook group, or staying at a Selena, just to kind of get things rolling, I'd suggest.
I think Medellin too, when I went there, I stayed in hostels and stuff at the start, and you meet a few people there, then you meet more people there, but that's more like foreigners. To meet locals, what I would suggest is language exchange is really, really good, because you can go there, there's other people, they're trying to improve their life because there's locals who want to learn English or maybe work overseas or something. You can help them, they can help you, you got something in common. Also with these WhatsApp groups and stuff, I'm in like 20 as well.
I know,
But they're so niche specific. There's one in Medellin for basketball, there's one for tennis, there's one for board games, there's one for chess. Like any interest you want, there's basically they have it. But it seems like both cities really have a vibrant expat community and a very tight-knit expat community as well. So man, I hate to do this to the people.
I think it's a 444.
Oh my God.
I really do. I mean,
okay.
Comment section needs to figure it out.
Yeah, so it's 4 Mexico City clear winners. There's 4 Medellin clear winners. In the comments, we're going to put the 4 which are tied. We've seen as tied, and maybe you guys have different opinions on it, and you can settle this battle. But we're going to have to call it a no contest for now. So let us know. They're both awesome places to live. Hope you enjoyed the video. Nick.
Of course, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, easy. And we'll catch you guys next time.